viewers and listeners, to the Health Revolution, the program that shows you how to have a life of vibrant well-being. In a world full of noisy health trends, we bring you clarity. In a sea of fads, we reveal the science-backed strategies that truly work. We explore physical strength, emotional resilience, and mental mastery. These are the keys to an enriched life. Join us for inspiring interviews with champions who conquered life's health challenges, fueling your journey. Are you ready to unlock your potential? To live with vitality and purpose? Then join the Health Revolution. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison, health and fitness expert, speaker, and a mom who understands. Let's embark on this transformative quest. Together, we're about to change the game, starting now. The information provided in this show is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Viewers should use their own discretion and consult with a healthcare professional for personalized guidance and recommendations. Welcome everybody to the Health Revolution. I'm so excited that you are joining us today. And no matter which way that you are tuning in, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison. Remember, our show is all things health and wellness and how we can optimize our life. And I'm excited for today's episode because I have someone who is pretty special, and I can't wait for you to get to know her and how she redefines her level of strength. So as we begin, take a look at this. Check this out. This is Sylvia Waller, a visionary who sees beyond the years and into the heart of true beauty. Sylvia is Mrs. Colorado 2022, Mrs. Fitness American 2021, and Mrs. Colorado American 2020. Sylvia has made history by being the first crowned Mrs. Colorado at age 62. Sylvia has become the first African American crowned Mrs. Colorado within the last 32 years and the second since the inception of the America Mrs. Pageant system. Sylvia's message is clear. Beauty transcends age and radiates from a life lived with purpose. As an advocate and educator, she uplifts others with her work in the community. Her dedication to empowering lives is evident in her roles. She volunteers with the Alzheimer's Association and is honored with accolades like the Women Who Soar and Be Well Awards. Sylvia's contributions are a testament to her impactful presence and the respect that she is given. Her array of awards, including the Outstanding Achievement Honor from the Colorado Gospel Music Hall of Fame, shines a light on her multifaceted efforts to enrich her community. And she's here to share with us the keys to aging gracefully and living a life of true optimism. So I have to welcome a dear friend of mine, Sylvia Waller. Welcome to the show. How are you, Queen?
Thank you for having me. I'm great. Getting over a little cold, but I'm good.
Yes. And you know, one of the things that I admired about you, I've known you for a few years now, you know, you've really paved the way in so many different ways in how to define what it means, the resilience as we are stepping into a new chapter. So we're aging, but we're also, we continue to improve and utilize the options to be better. Tell me about your journey to Mrs. Colorado, and what were some of the things that drove you to be a part of the pageant?
Well, you know, I didn't think that I looked like a Mrs. Colorado. So when I was initially approached, I told my husband, I said, I don't look like Mrs. Colorado. Why would they ask me? And I think that was the insecurity part. And so my husband says, well, what does that look like? And I said, well, someone that lighter skinned with long hair and younger. And he said to me, well, go change it. And I don't think he thought I would. So after thinking about it, I thought, you know what? Maybe I will. So that started a journey of, you know, I wonder if I can change the way we see beauty, because traditionally beauty is young and there is beauty in aging. And you know, granted, my hair is gray, so I can't hide that. Yeah. So, you know, I just embraced I embraced my own uniqueness and went for it. And I said, that's what I wanted to do, was to change the way society sees maturity. And for women to not be afraid to age, because it's a process. You either age or you're 6 feet under, one of the two. So, I'd rather just age gracefully. And so that entails a lot of things like your diet, exercise, your mental health. I'm a woman of faith, so I have a great relationship with my Lord and Savior. So I meditate. That keeps your mind healthy as well. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't get down and out, and it doesn't mean that I don't struggle with weight. It's just that I have a goal. So winning Mrs. Colorado was a blessing, and it was also a way for me to let women out there know that even after children, after retirement, there's still another chapter that you can write. And so that was my chapter that I wrote.
And that's incredible. Tell the viewers, you're a mom, so talk about your journey as, your takeaways from going through motherhood, entering motherhood, and then just creating your own breakthroughs to continue to look beyond such an incredible role as you and I both know. What was it like for you what helped you to look forward and say, what all can I do?
Well, when I had my children, I had my first at 34. So I was ready. I was ready to just be a mom. So I dedicated everything. I'm a girly girl, but I had 2 boys. So I had to put away the girly girl stuff, and I did the boy thing. So I enrolled them when they were young. I enrolled them in every sport just to see what stuck. So I was that mom that would go to work, come home, rush to pick them up, feed them something, quick, and then go off to a practice of some kind. And then once with my younger one, track. So he was a 400 runner. My oldest was football. So we were always going here and there. And I was that mom that was in the stand cheering them on. And I lived their life. My oldest son said to me that all my friends were parents of his teammates, because I was just that entrenched. So now that they're out of college, I have no more collegiate sports, which I really miss. It's time for me.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed the fact that my kids said, Mom, you took us everywhere. You traveled. You made sure we made all of our practices, that you were in the stands. Now it's your time. And they follow me with my pageant. So they have been to every pageant, even the ones in Vegas. So, and it just warms my heart because I see the work that I put into them, and now they are reciprocating that, and they give me life. They give me energy. I feed off of them as well. And I have found a new purpose. I was a caregiver for my dad for about 3 years, and that was tough. So after he passed, my life was empty because my kids were in college. I had no one to take care of. I'm so used to taking care of. And it was at that point where I prayed for another, what do I do with the rest of my life? And that's where, the pageant came out of nowhere, because that was not on my radar. But, it was an avenue to help me to learn how to speak in public, because I was terrified. And so it was an avenue where I could develop my speaking skills to work and do my volunteer work with the Alzheimer's Association. So I see it all coming full circle. So now the second part of my life is about community and raising awareness for healthy lifestyle and being a healthy senior citizen and getting the most out of life that you can.
What was it like for you to prepare for the pageant,
Ooh.
and what were some elements, what were some takeaways that allowed you to just really shine and put your best foot forward?
I remember telling my trainer, I am in a pageant where the women are my kids' age. So I don't want to be that little old lady that they pat on the head and go, oh, she's cute for her age. I said, I want to be a contender. So you have to get me in shape. So I went into beast mode, and my kids laugh at me because I always talk about beast mode. And I told my trainer, we got to get into beast mode because I want to be a contender. I don't want to be different. I just want to be, if you look at me, I want to be on the same level. I just may be a little older, you know. So the work was hard and I really went in. And the trainer that I had pushed me. And, you know, I named my body Mustang Sally. And my Mustang Sally, you know, ran through that finish line like, you know, they do in Fast and Furious. And once I ran across that finish line, my engine fell out because I went so hard. And that is the lesson that I learned is, okay, it's good to go into beast mode, but know where you are in life. So as my doctor would say, my joints are a little vintage. So my beast mode doesn't look the same at 20 as it does at 60, at that time, 62. And so, you know, you have to know your body and know what level you can push to, or you're going to, you know, burn your car out.
Right. Now, in being Mrs. Colorado, and for those of you who have yet to know the system, so the woman who is crowned at the state level then advances to the national level for the Mrs. America title, and so that takes place typically in Vegas, as we all are aware. And what was that like for you to really represent our state, and now it's time to continue onward, and we've got the national stage. Take us through some of the preparation, some of the surprises that maybe were that you didn't see, and then some of the perks that came with this new journey.
You know, the American going to Vegas was an eye opener because you're competing against women all over from all 50 states. Mm-hmm. And I remember walking in that room and I said, what am I doing here? You know, that little song, one of these things don't look like the other. That's kind of how I felt because you know, everyone was my kids' age. Mm-hmm. They were just gorgeous women. And for a moment, I just kind of went, okay, get it together. You know, you can't be 20. You can't be 30. I can't even be 50. So the only thing I can do is be the best me that I can be. So once I gathered that, then I was good. And then I could go around and chat with the women from other states because it's the cream of the crop. And a lot of those women are phenomenal women doing great things in the community. And I made friends for life. I still communicate over social media, you know, Facebook, Instagram. We still communicate and we'll be friends for a lifetime. Some of the things that surprised me was that people would talk about how catty it is. I did not run across that. And I do believe positive energy draws positive energy. So I'm sure there was some there because I did hear about, but you know, I feel like positive energy draws positive energy. So I didn't experience any negativity or any cattiness. Mm-hmm. It was a beautiful experience where I got a chance to represent my state of Colorado with pride and also make a statement that, you know, you don't have to be in your 20s. You can be in your 60s and still compete on a stage with women that are in their 20s and 30s and feel good about yourself.
Yes. Now, for our viewers who may not be familiar with pageant systems, you're there for a few days.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh,
how
gosh.
long? How long were you there for?
We were there for 10 days.
10.
So me asking, why are we here for 10 days? I mean, that's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was told that the reason that you're there for 10 is because a person can fake and pretend to be, whoever they want to be for about 5. And about that 5th day, people start to melt down. And it was so funny because they were absolutely right. About that 5th day, you're tired. You're over it. You're tired of the Tammy Faye lashes and the thick makeup. And you're just over it, And by the time the pageant comes around, you're tired. And that's what they want to see. They want to see, how do you stand with pressure, And then they'll also throw things at you like, there's a photo shoot in 5 minutes. And you're like, but I'm in makeup. I'm getting my hair done in 5 minutes. And then you're stressing. Well, you only can do what you can do. So you just take a breath. And once I figured out they're playing games, then I was good. It upset you at first because it's like, well, don't they know we just got here or we're just doing this? And, and then once you figure out the game, then you just go, okay. So they do play the games to see the true person that you are, and your true colors will come out.
Wow. So what's neat about this is that, that those in which are able to be resilient, and maybe those that just have that foundation that really exudes, that has been with them, preparing, authenticity, just all of the things. And so then that you start to see that as you get close. Okay.
I always like to say it's the fruitful heart. Can you really determine if a person has a fruitful heart? And when I say that, I mean a heart that includes love, peace, kindness, goodness. So when you have a fruitful heart and you're under pressure, that's what comes out, because whatever's in your heart is going to come out. So if you have a fruitful heart, no matter what pressure you're under, you're still going to be kind. You're still going to be loving.
Right.
But if that heart is not right, then you'll get whatever,
Very true. And what was the most surprising thing about your experience representing Colorado? What was the one thing that took you by surprise? Maybe a pleasant surprise that maybe you didn't expect preparing for the stage?
Running or after I won?
As you were there. Let's do before and after. Mm-hmm.
Before, I would say the only thing that nothing really surprised me. I would say maybe how much fun I had, because everyone talks about, we've all seen the movies, that's my favorite, Miss Congeniality. And then you also hear people talk about how catty women are, and surprisingly, I just haven't had that problem. But then I also talk about how important it is for us to lift each other up. So I would say my biggest surprise was how nice and the friendships that I make, because I have some forever friendships, lasting friendships from pageantry. Yes. So my sisterhood, they're truly my sisters from another mother.
I love that. I love that. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We will be right back after this. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this. Perimenopause and menopause are the stages of life that women go through as we age. Menopause is seen as the ending of a woman's reproductive abilities to bear children. The average age onset of menopause is 51. 8 to 10 years prior to menopause is recognized as the perimenopause stage in a woman's life. Now, this chapter is the natural transition to menopause. Now, what makes this unique is the level of estrogen in a woman's body that begins to decline as we enter perimenopause. Estrogen is seen as the main female hormone. And during this transition, there are many symptoms recognized as being connected to perimenopause, such as menstrual irregularity, hot flashes, sleep problems, vaginal dryness, even unique symptoms that we may not think of, such as frozen shoulder, mood swings, energy levels fluctuating, headaches, and night sweats, just to name a handful of symptoms. Symptoms of perimenopause can happen as early as the late 30s. As a woman, I strongly urge you to begin to have the conversations with the healthcare providers that you trust, who are understanding, compassionate, and are able to recognize the ever-changing menopause data and research that continues to evolve. Ladies, please use your voice and be your own advocate and talk to your healthcare providers to start that conversation as to how to best address your symptoms in transitioning to menopause. Quite frankly, there is no protocol in the medical space to address women entering perimenopause or menopause, and not every doctor or clinician is up to speed with the latest data. Begin the conversation and stay up to date with that research. This is how we can be proactive during this transition in our lives that can feel a little unsettling. Your voice and your proactive steps to honor you and your health are the best two things that you can do. And this is your Fit Bite for today. Welcome back to the Health Revolution. Welcome back to the Health Revolution. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison, with the ever beautiful Sylvia Waller as my guest today. She is Mrs. Colorado and all things redefining the space of aging and with aging resilience and gracefulness. And Sylvia, I wanted to ask you about how did you get involved with Alzheimer's Association and what led to you being a volunteer educator?
Well, my dad suffered from dementia. And I didn't know what it was. So when he got sick, I was his only relative here. So I'm an only child. My mother passed away in 2005. So it was just me and dad, and I'm a daddy's girl. And so the things that were happening to him was just crazy for me because I didn't know what that was. So unfortunately, I didn't know about the Alzheimer's Association. I had heard a little bit about it. And during that time, his older sister was diagnosed with 4th stage of Alzheimer's, but the family kept it quiet. And it's like, what? Why? I didn't understand it. So by the time I knew something was going on. I just didn't know what was going on with her. By the time we knew what she was dealing with, she was already in a facility. And then my dad was starting to show signs. And he had made a comment he didn't want to go crazy like his sister. So that was, what we think about. So my 3 years in, taking care of my dad and watching him decline, I would just pray and ask God, I don't know what to do with this. And I just kind of guided myself with grace and respect. That's my dad. So he would act like a 5-year-old, but he's still my dad. So when he would say things like, "You're not the boss of me," I would just go, "Well, Dad, I'm just trying to keep you safe." So winding forward after he had passed, I contacted the Alzheimer's Association because I was like, what is this disease that's plaguing my family? I need to know more. And it's a funny story because I went to them for help and shared my story and everything. And I remember Jim, the marketing person, said, "You did everything we would have instructed you to do." And I said, that was basically for me, that was the guidance of my Lord and Savior, because he guided me through that. But the things that I did and learned, were the steps that the Alzheimer's Association would say. So I'm coming to them for I'm grieving, and I just want to understand. And they put me to work. So, he got me in touch with Roz Reese, which was the diversity manager at the time. And she was basically in charge of the community, getting the word out. So she would have me go to, I spoke at the Capitol one time. I was terrified. And then just speaking to churches. And that's where the pageant helped me to gain more confidence in public speaking, because I was very shy and didn't want to speak in public, but I had a lot to say. And I think because I went through it not knowing how the Alzheimer's Association could help me.
Right.
I don't want anyone else to go through that. That was the most dark and depressing time of my life, because I felt alone. And you don't have to go through it alone. There's a 1-800 number that you can call, and they have a wealth of, counselors, doctors that know all about, the disease, and basically experts in whatever it is. It could be Lewy body, it could be a different form of dementia, but they have experts that can help guide you through it. And if you just need to talk or vent, they have someone who will listen and then guide you in other groups that could support groups. So once I found out what they offered, it's like, oh, I got to be a part of this, because I have to be out in the community and let people know there is help. Right. And if you are struggling, get help, because it's a long line in my family, grandfather, aunts, uncles. And looking back as a child, they would say, oh, Auntie C now. That's Alzheimer's.
So what does the general public yet to know about Alzheimer's that would be important for us to keep in mind when we're thinking about family, our own aging process, things to be on the lookout for? What are some signs of Alzheimer's?
We have some educational classes called the 10 warning signs that we talk about. And, most people will freak out if they start forgetting. Natural forgetfulness is part of aging. Now, we always say, now, if you forget and you put your keys in the freezer, you may have a problem, right. Because you put your keys in the freezer, that's not normally where your keys would go.
Unlike like walking into a room and say, why did I walk
in here?
Gotcha.
Now, if that happens and you walk back out and go, oh yeah, I remember, that's not Alzheimer's, because you retrieve the information. Now, if you walk into a room and forget where you are totally, and it never comes back, there's a problem. Or if your forgetfulness disrupts your everyday life, like you forget to pay your bills, or we've all done that before, but a better example would be you're having a hard time doing your daily task of maybe writing out bills or even calculating, simple math. I got to pay my electricity bill and the house note and all that, and you're having trouble with that math.
Right.
Then you might have some issues. Now, a little disclosure, I feel that, and because I know the signs, I've had like a pretest.
Okay.
And I do have some cognitive decline, which is not fun.
But is it the decline that you have to keep your eye on, or is it the cognitive decline that just comes as we, with each decade?
No, it's one that I probably should keep my eye on.
Okay.
Because it's more, if I'm given too many tasks at one time, I get confused. Or too many numbers, I get confused. So part of that, I think as we age, we don't handle that well. But if you start getting confused where you just computer overload, pew, and you just shut off. It might be something to think about. So what I do is I try to eat. Studies have shown that a healthy lifestyle, diet, and exercise will help prolong it, will help push it out or make you stronger. Like with any disease, if you have a strong body, you can fight.
Yes.
So the same with Alzheimer's. If you have, a healthy body and you're exercising, you may be able to lessen the blow, where it's not as devastating. You just might have a mild,
right,
case of it. And so I know that it's deep in my family. It's also connected to heart disease, diabetes, and heart disease and diabetes. So it's also connected to that. So when you're a person that has, you're on medication for both, you're at risk.
So I'm curious, I know that you are active and you stay on top of your health and fitness. Did family members, your aunt, your father, were they active? Were they ever, no. So they weren't, so that could have been something that could have played a role in just definitely. How the decline.
Yeah,
what have you. Okay.
Definitely. I mean, my dad he played golf. Okay. So I guess you could say he was pretty active. But Dad had other issues, like he had kidney disease. And part of the kidney disease was, I don't know if it was from the alcohol or from the medication, but, he used to drink. And then when he was diagnosed with diabetes, he had to stop drinking. Mm-hmm. He loves a beer, and him and Jack are real good friends.
Okay.
So once that happened, and when my mom had passed, he started drinking again to deal with the passing of her. And so he's still taking medication, and I'm trying to tell him, Dad, you can't drink and take medication. And then when his kidneys started happening, he was still grieving, and so he didn't care. He just kept drinking. So my advocacy stepped in, because he's not telling the doctors the whole deal. They're giving him medication and he's still drinking, where they should have been asking, are you drinking? Mm-hmm. And if so, I can't give you this medication, or you need to stop. Well, they tried to tell him, but he would say, that's not going to happen. He's going to continue to drink. So, that played a big role in it as well.
Wow. So are there things that, say, we can do to keep our minds sharp that can play a role in just being as sharp as we can and staving off something like this if it runs in the family? Are there practical games, or are there things we can do just to...
There are games like Sudoku.
Okay.
And that's fun. It's frustrating, but it's fun. But you know what I love is dance. Dance is good. And when I say dance, it's something that you're not used to. So I took a hip hop class. Funniest thing ever. Because, when I was younger, I could,
got the groove.
But, dances have changed, and I'm older, and your mind says, we got this. But your body's like, I don't think so. It's not. They're not, playing along.
Yeah.
So I took a hip hop class, and it was the funniest thing. And I see what they mean, because your brain is thinking, and you're really trying to get the mind to get the body to do what the mind says and the eye see. And in your mind, you're thinking, yeah, I got this. But no, it doesn't look the same. And, so that is a good one. Dance helps to challenge the mind. They say music also helps, if you play an instrument or you play the piano, right. that helps. But games, dance, staying active is good. But I love the dance thing because, it makes you think, and it's like, darn it, I need to get that. I'm trying to get that. And it's just funny. It's just fun.
I love it. Now I want to circle back. You brought something up that I have to ask you about. So for our viewers, Sylvia has had 3 titles. So that's Mrs. Colorado American, Mrs. Fitness American 2021, Mrs. Colorado American 2020. Am I right? 2020. And then, of course, Mrs. Colorado of 2022. So talk to us about Mrs. Fitness American.
Oh, that was awesome.
And your journey, because now I'm thinking, okay, you just busted the door wide open of just taking those steps and seeing where it leads.
Yeah. 2020, when I won Mrs. Colorado American, that was full beast mode. Full beast mode. And we went all in. And that's when I told the doctor, my trainer, I said, I want to be a contender. And I worked really, really hard. I went in and transformed my body, to the point where I could compete with anyone. And when I won Mrs. Fitness, and at that time, that was 2021 when we were in Vegas.
Yes.
And because of COVID, we couldn't do it in 2020. So they moved it to 2021. And I was 61 at the time. And winning Mrs. Fitness at 61,
yes,
that meant more to me than winning Mrs. America. So I was like, I'm good. I just won Mrs. Fitness. I am the most fittest person here. That was awesome. But I put a lot of work into that. I went full throttle. And to the point where, my joints started to give out. So going back and jumping back in, going, I wonder if I could win Mrs. Colorado. So I'm going to try it one more time. The clock was 11:59. So I was having issues with my hip. And everyone said, why don't you wait until your hip is better? And I was like, nope, it's 11:59. 12 o'clock. I might turn into a pumpkin. I don't know. But the time is now. So when I competed in 2022, my hip was inflamed. So I couldn't work out as much. We had to refrain from doing a lot of leg work because my hip was inflamed. And, I needed surgery, but I was like, I don't have time. I can't do that right now. So I was in therapy, and we were working, my trainer was working around that hip. And I remember standing on stage, and I was like, the pain was unbearable. And I just looked up, and I remember praying, and I said, Lord, you said, when I am weak, you are strong. And I said, I'm so weak right now. And I don't remember walking across the stage. I remember it was just a float, just a blur, because I was in so much pain. I was just kind of like zoned out, kind of.
Okay.
And so I know it was nothing but divine intervention, because I was in a lot of pain. And just walking, standing was worse, but walking was tough to try to put a smile on your face and be elegant, but you're in pain. That was really tough. And I felt like I was showing the pain, but everyone that watched said, no, you couldn't tell. So God stepped in. But that was the most amazing, I'd say, winning Mrs. Fitness was, to me, I was good. I didn't even have to win American, because I won Mrs. Fitness. So that just told me I was in the best shape of my life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. We're going to go ahead and take a commercial break. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this. Thank you so much for watching The Health Revolution. Our show is growing, and it's all thanks to viewers like you. No matter how you found us, please hit the subscribe button so we can stay connected and continue to deliver amazing content to you.
Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been shown that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
Share this with your friends and family and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a chemo buddy for life.
We are a Buddies Network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are chemo buddies for life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
And now we want to give special thanks to Biomed Mobile IV for sponsoring the health revolution. Biomed Mobile IV is Colorado's top mobile IV therapy service, servicing throughout the state of Colorado. They offer an array of vitamins and above and beyond safety preparation. Biomed Mobile IV, your dedication to health and wellness is exactly what our show is all about. And we thank you for your support. Welcome back to the Health Revolution. Welcome back, everybody. My guest today, the amazing Sylvia Waller. We're talking about how you are redefining aging with resilience and grace and just really breaking through different barriers. And circling back, before we went to break, we were talking about you winning Mrs. Fitness American. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious, how do you see the pageants today redefining just diversity and beauty and what the definitions are today? What do you see today?
You know, I see them getting away from the old traditional Barbie. So when I see women on the stage now, I see a variety of ethnicities and looks, even shapes and sizes. And I think that's beautiful because we don't want to give the impression that beauty only looks one way or is only one size. But, the other thing is that pageants are not beauty pageants. It's more of a community service. So if a person who is getting involved in a pageant, they should be community minded. And it's not necessarily about the crown per se. It's more about your community service and whatever your platform is. And it gives you a larger microphone to get out and, advocate for your platform. So that is what I see. There are still a few people that get involved because, the traditional beauty pageant and there's not substance. There's no substance there. But I see just from the women, just look at Miss America. She's an Air Force pilot.
Yes.
She's in school at Harvard. So you see it's more than just beauty. You have to have some substance. And that's the bad rap that beauty pageants have gotten is it's just about, beauty. You watch Miss Congeniality and it pokes fun at it a little bit, but that also gives you a little insight into the world of the way it used to be, but pageants have grown and you can, like for me, I've built a stronger sense of public speaking from it. So you can learn skills from it, gain self-confidence. When I walk into a room and if there's a room full of beautiful women, I enjoy giving other women, compliments. You're gorgeous. You're amazing. We need to hear that. And you don't know whose life you can touch or who was really struggling until you said, "You're beautiful." You don't know who needs to hear that, and we just need to do a better job of that. And the sisterhood behind with the pageants is great too, because it allows you to do that. Now, there's still some that are a little insecure that can't give a compliment, but for the most part, you'll find your people, and the people that you find will be friends for life.
And I love that. I wonder if you're seeing that there's more of an emphasis from within, or the encouragement of women to really look at pageants differently, even if it's someone who maybe isn't thinking about entering a pageant, but maybe just what it can do in terms of bridging gaps. Yeah. And what have you?
I mean, even if you're going through a life change, a divorce, you just had a baby and you just need to redefine you. Pageantry is great because it will help you to dig deep, find out who you are, because you have to sit with yourself quietly to find out, who are you? What do you stand for? And what are you promoting? What do you stand for? So your platform, mine is Alzheimer's, and that is a lifelong mission for me. That and a lot of things, play a part. My health journey plays a part in that. You could be a person who promotes or advocates for heart cancer. Breast cancer. My mother died from breast cancer. That could be another. That's another one that, is near and dear to my heart, So it's a way to express. And if you have advocacy for something, it's a way to get a larger microphone, because now you have a brand. And then you can go out. You can do more as Mrs. Colorado than I can as Sylvia, So it does help to promote your platform. It helps to self-awareness, self-esteem. It helps to build you.
I'm curious, when you've had conversations with little girls, what has been the most, what's been a neat takeaway from talking with little girls?
I just love it. Because when when I'm at events and I have my crown on and, you see the little girls and their eyes are just big, and they'll look at you and they'll say, "Are you really a queen?" They usually say princess, and I'll say, "Yeah, and so are you." And, so I would always...
That's a moment for them.
It's a moment, and I always tell them, you are a little princess yourself. So you carry yourself as a princess. And I let them try my crown on, and just, it's a moment for me because it makes my heart warm, because I see myself in those little girls, especially when they're little Black girls. Because as a little Black girl in the 60s, growing up in the 60s, I didn't see beauty in dark skin. And it was because society didn't show it. I didn't see myself in magazines. I didn't see myself, in a beauty pageant. So, for a little girl to come up to me and say, "Are you really a queen? You're a princess." Yes. So I try to, just pour into their life and give them that self-esteem as well. And, then let them dream, yes. Carry yourself as a princess. You don't need this, to be a princess. You're a princess.
Well, what an amazing moment to imprint where they have that takeaway.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And then we have the little autograph cards. And, for me, I struggled with that because, that one side of me that goes like, that's a little much, But for kids, if I see a little girl, it just does something for them. If I write, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and a friend of mine who I saw not too long ago, she said her granddaughter has my picture that I signed on there, "You're beautifully and wonderfully made," on her dresser. Oh, that warms my heart.
Oh, that's amazing. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this.
Greetings, I'm Angel Marie Monticelli, host of Energize You TV, every Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time. Go to Fresh Takes right here on E360 and get Reikified and energized today.
Welcome back to the Health Revolution. Welcome back to the Health Revolution. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison. I'm here with Sylvia Waller, the amazing, the ever beautiful and ever just stepping into new levels of strength. I know we just have a few minutes left, but where can viewers find you?
Well, I am on Instagram at Sylvia, or actually my Instagram is Mrs. Colorado 2022. I have Beauty Run Skin Deep, and that deep is spelled D33P. And that's where I have all my beauty makeup and beauty tips. And then I'm also on Facebook, where just Sylvia Waller. So.
Yes, we have it there for our viewers to take note and be able to connect with you. And what is one of your favorite beauty tips that just transcends, that is with you, that's a power pillar, a foundation of you being able to shine?
I'd say there's a couple. One, women, I'd say over 30, should start using some type of exfoliant. And as a treatment at night. And so glycolic and retin-A are good. Glycolic is great for ethnic skin. Mm-hmm. It's a great exfoliant to keep the dead skin, to help it peel off.
I'm going to remember that.
Because as we age, I think after 28, our skin doesn't slough off on our pillow. When we're young, our skin dies and it comes off on our pillow. As we get older, it dies and it sticks. It just stays there. Okay. So when you look at yourself and you say, my skin looks dull, well, it's because you need to exfoliate that dead skin off. So that's why you see commercials about nighttime treatment with retin-A and retinol and glycolic.
Well, now that makes sense.
That's what that does. So I would say that's a definite tip one, that to keep radiant skin, because that helps to keep your skin, the dead skin, off so that your natural skin can radiate through. Yes. And then living in Colorado, my biggest tip, I tell all my friends who move here, is to make sure that you put a little oil, because it's so dry here. Mm-hmm. So I use aloe vera oil. Now, you've probably seen aloe vera gel, but I use the oil.
Okay.
And I put a little oil under my eye. I dab under my eye and around my lips. And then I spread the rest of it all over my face and down my neck. And then I put my moisturizer on. Okay. So that helps to seal in moisture. Okay. And even if you're acneic, because I have acneic skin, I break out a lot. Aloe vera oil does not bother it.
So now see, we've got a few tips and we just slid under the radar. So we, of course, we would be talking a whole lot more, but we are unfortunately out of time. And Sylvia, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Queen. And for those of you who are tuning in, don't forget, you can find us on the internet. So that is thehealthrevolutiontv.com. You can subscribe to our newsletter. You can inquire and share with us input about about any type of show topics you would love for us to cover. In addition to that, we'll put up a little QR code where you can just snap with your phone, super duper quick. We'll be grabbing that. And of course, that's a quick as a crow flies method. And then don't forget on E360 TV, we're always on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That is 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern on E360 TV. So that's all the time that we have. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, take care, everybody. We'll see you soon.